You know, one of the most beautiful things about being a photographer is you don't have to worry about the background noise. It's such an amazing feat. You take a photograph, capture that moment in time. I'd like to invite you as we go on a field trip today, and let's see what we can do with our Canon Rebel XT and see if we can get some images for our portfolio. Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be doing a real quick field trip. If you guys like the outdoor and wildlife stuff, we got some exciting news coming to you. We've got some information where there may be some deer, maybe some ducks, and maybe some bald eagles. So we're going to go out and it's kind of about noon right now. So our goal is we got to travel a little bit a ways to get there. We're going to stop and eat some tacos, and then we're going to go to the destination, get our backpacks loaded, get ready, and roll out and see what we can find and see what we can take pictures of today with our new Canon Rebel, new to us, Canon Rebel XT. We're just going to have a good day of shooting. Angie's going with me today. She's putting the dog up right now. She let it out to go to the bathroom. She's getting him all squared away, and then she'll be here, and we're going to roll out here in just a minute. All right, guys, we've made it about 100 yards down the trail. I've already done this video once, but I'm trying to speak up so you can hear me, just in case the last one didn't go through. We've already seen several deer, we've seen several birds, and we're right here on this trail where it's fixing to kind of make an S-curve through the woods. A lot of beautiful shade. You got the dapple of the sun because it is wintertime. Your hardwoods have already lost their leaves, but we still got some greenery with the pines and the other trees. So this is going to be a really good, and I think it may turn out to be a great black and white with all the contrast. But we'll kind of pan the camera around, let you look at it, and you guys give me some food for thought, because there's always more than one way to skin a cat, and that's half the fun with these videos. It's just learning from other people. But I'm going to shoot some high, I'm going to shoot some low, and let's just see what happens. Again, Rebel XT. Alright guys, before we get too much further, we're kind of on the back side and we're close to some water over here. I already snuck up to the water's edge and I didn't see any ducks, but it's worth trying. And I also know that we're right in the middle. Right now it is 2:30 in the afternoon, so we've got harsh sunlight coming out right now. This background probably looks awful, but we're gonna just make this the best we can. Right real quick, while we're kind of halfway through this part of the first trail that we're on, I'm going to throw out a couple of real quick tips, and these are things I wished I would have known when I first started shooting. Number one on the list is going to be what we've already talked about in our very first video. Get off program mode, go over into one of your manual modes or AV mode or time mode. With the time mode said, one thing if you don't know, if you're using a 100mm lens, for example, you want, when you, especially like this camera that we're using, this Digital Rebel, it has no kind of anti-vibration software or anything built into it. So basically what you want to do is you want to keep your shutter speed at least equivalent to whatever your lens is. So if you've got a 100mm lens, you want your shutter speed to be at least 1/100th of a second when you're hand holding. As you get better and the more you grip your camera, and we kind of talked about the grip, that's part of number 3, holding your camera correctly. When you're holding your camera correctly and you're tucking your elbows in and you're kind of cupping the lens, and then you're making everything nice and solid, you practice on it, but you'll be able to get to where you can actually go underneath whatever that suggested shutter speed is. So for like this 50mm lens, we're going to be able to go a little bit less than that just by holding steady and kind of making our body feel more like a tripod. Tip number 4 is going to be, if you're not shooting in RAW, start shooting in RAW. Even if you shoot RAW and JPEG, your RAW images give you so much more to work with. And that brings us up to this next scene that we're fixing to work with. You're going to want to shoot this in RAW. We've got a lot of contrast up here. You can't really tell it, and I'm hoping that I'm going to turn the camera around and kind of pan down, but this is another trail where you've got some harsh sunlight coming in and it's hitting these leaves. If you had a polarizing filter on this particular trail, it would really help you because you could get that glare off of those leaves. I didn't bring a polarizing filter, so what we're going to do, we're going to take a couple of shots of this. We'll work it in Photoshop and kind of show you what I did, whether it be Lightroom or Photoshop, to kind of level it out a little bit. Again, I think this will be another one. This is a scouting trip for us, but this is another one where the light's harsh. I think it could potentially make a really cool black and white. So I'll turn the camera around, kind of show you what we're doing here, and then we'll get to the last tip here after a bit. Now then, as you can see in this setup right here, like I said, it's real harsh light. The sun's coming in at an angle. It's about 2:30 in the afternoon, and it's ricocheting off of them leaves. So you've got thousands of really bright spots with kind of a somewhat dark background. I love that this foliage is still green. Again, we're in January, so I mean, it's kind of cool to see all this greenery back here. But again, I didn't bring a polarizer with me, but it really would make a world of difference on a scene like this where you got a lot of reflection coming off the leaves. I'll get a few shots just like I told you I would, and we'll show you the before and after, because I think this little S-curve would make a nice black and white. Alright guys, if you can see what I'm doing, I'm kind of adding a little bit right here into the foreground of my shot. It's kind of helping frame up this little pathway going through here. Sometimes adding something, just a simple little detail, gives you a lot more depth in your photographs, especially with your landscape and nature type photography. But this is just giving it a nice little bit of extra. Again, I'm getting a lot of glare off of this, so I may have to dull down those highlights. But just again, another fun little tip. If you've got somebody out there shooting with you, that's somebody that could help you. If they had a little reflector, they could knock the glare off of these right here, but that just adds a little more flare, and if you can kind of get them in the shade, that would make that look even better. Again, if we weren't on necessarily a scouting trip, this would be another place. This is going to be a location we're going to come back, I think, in the morning real early in that golden light, where you could potentially have the sun coming up over off the top of the water coming through here, and or maybe even a backlit type sunset photo. This would really be beautiful. We're going to lose a lot of the lush greens just simply from the harsh sunlight. But again, for a scouting trip, great way to make some black and whites. Alright guys, we're done here. Let's go find another scene. Get this thing zipped up. Go find another scene. There's some cool stuff here. Alright guys, again, another real quick deal when you're out here scouting these locations. Anytime that you're coming up on a curve like we're fixing to come up to right here, kind of slow down and peek around the curve. I've walked up on 7 deer so far doing just that, and if you were just walking down the trail and meandering along, you could be scaring away deer, bobcats. I've walked up on so many things, and that's just a real quick tip to kind of help you if you're trying to see more wildlife, the birds even. You can hear the blue jays are going nuts. Quick tip, if you're not aware, you hear blue jays doing what they're doing, there's a good chance there's going to be some deer, bobcat, any number of things.
Because they're tattletales.
But they are the guard dogs of the woods.
Yep.
So anytime if you're out walking in the woods and you hear the blue jays going nuts, you might try to start working your way over there and see if you can get close to see what they're tattling on. Alright guys, so for the fifth tip, one of the things that I wished I would have known when I was younger and starting out is know your autofocus and know how it works. If you guys are using like the camera, like the Canon, like the Rebel XT, you've got one shot, you've got AI servo. AI servo means that if you focus like on a deer, for example, and it's a moving target, your focus will stay there. One shot means it's going to lock on until you hit the shutter. That's not necessarily good if you're trying to do birds or wildlife, that kind of stuff. Get to know your autofocus, know how it works, and keep that in mind. That's going to be one of the best tips I can give you. I messed up many years ago doing a portrait shoot with family, a family of people. There were 6 people in this family, and I'd gone out doing wildlife stuff the weekend before, set up this family session, and I still had it on AI servo. So every time that I was locking in on one of the people and then readjusting for my focus, it was focusing on the background, and every one of those pictures were bad out of focus. I couldn't tell it on the back of the screen. Don't ever trust the back of your screen when you're looking at the preview, even zoomed in at 100%. Depending on the lighting, sometimes you'll be like, I think I got it. Guys, it's a simple mistake. But just be aware of that, learn how to use, make yourself a checklist of what you're going to do. If you're doing a portrait session, make sure I always use the one shot. If I'm out in the woods, I'm going to have it on AI servo. Again, that's the 5 tips for this video. We're going to head back home. We're going to pull these images up that we took today. Let's see if any of them turned out. I believe we got at least 1 or 2. And let's print some stuff. It'll look really cool. We'll hang it on the wall. Thanks for following us. If you made it along this far, thank you so much. Pass this video around to your friends. We're trying to hit 100 subscribers this month. Maybe we can make it happen. With your help, we can make it happen. And again, guys, let's go shoot some stuff